Hello, everybody. I am so glad to see you all. I want to welcome you back to the Wisdom Wednesdays newsletters. I put these newsletters out every second and fourth Wednesday of each month. Most of the time, the newsletters are actual video, but there's occasionally a time that I may actually write the newsletter out as well. So I am so excited, like I said earlier, to see all of you, but I'm also excited to be here. The reason why is because I have a few announcements that I would like to make before we go any further. And so, basically, to begin with, I wanted to welcome our new subscriber. I am so glad that you joined us, and I hope that you find the information that you will receive will be very beneficial to you. Secondly, for those of you that have been one of my followers for a while, you may notice that my hair looks a little different. It actually looks a little more gray, silverish like. And the reason why that is because this is really what my hair color is at this stage in my life. For so long, I have tried to hide it because I was afraid that it would make me look too old or it just wouldn't match my face. But I decided to embrace it. So I took a risk and I decided to embrace it. And you know what? I really do love it. I think it makes me look wiser. It doesn't make me look old like I thought it was going to make me look. And so I'm really excited to be able to show this to you and that you actually get to see it. My third announcement is my most exciting and biggest announcement at this time in my life, and that is that I have started a podcast. The podcast is WIIFM, which stands for What's in It for Me. This podcast was designed to help empower women about topics that women may be interested in. I will be adding the link to this video so that you can actually go and check me out. I plan on doing my podcast just once a month, and that will be I will release them, I should say, on the first Tuesday of each month. So I hope you enjoy it, and I definitely would love to get feedback from all of you. So that's all the announcements I have. So today, I have a topic that I wanted to speak to all of you about because, as you know, my goal is to help women, to empower them so that they can let go of the doubts and the fears and change their mindset so that they can be able to pursue the dreams that they have. And so I realize there's sometimes the reasons why we have challenges is because we feel like we're stuck. We feel like, we really may not know what we want to do. We may doubt what we do. We may be fearful of what we do. And all of those things are just normal, to actually go ahead and pursue something that we really want to pursue. You're going to notice that I'm looking down at a piece of paper, and that's because I want to make sure that the information that I give to you tonight will be accurate. I don't want to just be off the top of my head. So today what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about the word innovation. And innovation refers to development of new ideals. All of us have to be able to have a thought, a new ideal, or something in our mind of what we really want to do in life. And so what happens is when we don't allow our minds to become innovative and start thinking about not only what is that thing that we want to accomplish or perform or put together, we have to be able to realize and think about what is the plan? How will I do that? And I always tell people to do pros and cons lists on everything. And the pro is what's in it for me to pursue my dream? What is it not for me to pursue my dream? And the reason why that is so important is because it has us to actually look at what our thoughts are, what we plan on doing, and how to fix it. A lot of people will sit there and look at the con list or the negative list, however you want to describe it, as being something bad. Oh my God, I have more cons than I do pros, so I shouldn't perform this act, or I shouldn't pursue this dream, or I shouldn't even think about it. I should just let it go. It's not going to ever happen. And the list can go on and on and on. But I want to tell you, stop looking at it as a negative list. Innovation, keep in mind, means the development of new ideals. So instead of looking at it being negative, you're going to look at it as being an opportunity. In other words, I may not like the list that I see before me, but what can I do to change things around so that the list is more appeasing to me? For example, let's say that you have to take a test and you want to pass the test. Well, instead of sitting there saying, you know what, I don't like to read or I don't like to study, you could turn that around by saying, you know what will I learn by reading this material that they gave me and by studying it and retaining it? So if you really think about it in that capacity, you really are taking time out looking at yourself and helping yourself by knowing that you can achieve whatever it is that you want to achieve. Some people say, another example, I don't have enough money to start what I want to start. And I'm not going to sit there and say that may not necessarily be true. But then the opportunity is that, you know what, I can learn how to budget my money. I can become more aware of where I'm spending my money on. I may have to let go of cable because my focus is going to be on putting my action plan or my business plan together. So for everything that looks negative and everything that looks to be bad, there's always an opportunity where you have the right and the ability to turn things around. I want to let that sink in. You have the opportunity to turn things around. So, as you're focusing on turning things around and presenting those new ideals that you have, there's 4 types of innovations that I want to tell you about. The first type is what we call sustaining innovation. And that is basically where the work starts. This is where you're going to spend most of the time. This is where you're going to ask yourself a lot of questions like, why am I doing this? How do I do this? Where do I go to get the contacts or the connections? In other words, this is kind of like what I would call the building phase. You cannot build anything or execute anything without having a foundation. So this is a stage where the foundation starts, and this is the stage where once you build the walls and the roof and everything of your house or your dream, this is what's going to sustain it because you took the time up front and spent a lot of hours building what you really want to achieve. The second phase is what we call the breakthrough innovation. And that's the high points in our lives. That could be getting your first customer. That could be writing your first book or writing the first chapter of your first book. That could be you got nominated to apply for a certain scholarship. It could be a lot of things that kind of feeds your soul and makes you feel happy, and it makes you think like, wow, all that hard work that I did in sustaining my dream really is paying off. So as we know, not trying to be a naysayer here, but when we have great times, wonderful times, things that gives us courage to continue to go on and do something different, then there's always going to be somebody knocking at the back door, making us feel low and down. And that phase is what we call the disruptive innovation. That's where the naysayers will say, you know what you're doing is really unworthy. There's a reason why you only got 1 client instead of 5, because you're not good at what you're doing. This is the phase where you're going to have self-doubt. You're not going to believe in yourself. This is the phase where you want to give up. This is a phase where you're going to have more distractions coming your way. For example, it's summertime. People are going out to the beaches. They're going to the movies. They're traveling. They're enjoying life. And you're sitting at home working on your dream. And deep down inside, you really want to be out there with them. So you're not necessarily putting as much energy into it as you used to. Because, yeah, I got my first customer. Yes, I wrote my first chapter. Yes, I have actually sold products. But now I want to play. But this phase is a phase that we have to be cautious. This is also the phase where we need to be aware that number one is going to come. And number two, you want to think about how long is it going to last. It's going to last as long as you give it power. If you allow distraction to come in and you keep allowing distraction to come in, you're going to remain there for a while. So you're going to have to go back to the beginning and say to yourself, what did I create? Why did I create this? Why is this important to me? And what must I do to help me to let go of the distraction? For example, in my case, my distractions comes in my thoughts. And a lot of times it's self-doubt, where I feel like I'm not good enough, or I just won't be able to achieve this, and I just get discouraged. So what I've learned to do is when I start having those thoughts, those negative thoughts, and distractions come alongside of it, I say to myself, change the station. For me, that is my code word, which means I can't go there. I need to put some other thought inside of my head, and a thought that's proactive and a thought that's going to be helpful to me. So you decide what will your code word to be when those distractions come your way. And keep in mind, distractions is not just thoughts. Distractions are people, situations. It could be something that happened on our job that made us not feel so happy, because it was something negative. Or maybe we didn't get that promotion we wanted. Or maybe, we weren't able to go on that trip that we have been saving up for years to go to. But whatever it may be, keep in mind that this is just part of the process and it's temporarily. It will not last forever unless you stay stuck. And the way you stay stuck there is you give up and you don't even try. So I'm encouraging you to get up and try, because it is worth it in the long run. Keep the thought of that feeling that you had when you had that high point, how joyful and gleeful you were, and how excited you felt for doing what you really wanted to do in life. The last step is the basic step, the basic innovation, I should say, excuse me. And that's where, when we're doing this, we're not just necessarily doing a task. We are learning so much about who we are as an individual. In other words, this is a stage of where self-discovery is happening. This is a stage where you're learning life lessons about you. For example, how do you cope and handle stress? How do you react when things may not go exactly the way you want to go? How do you feel when people give you a look of discouragement? But the reason why this phase is so important is because the lessons that you learn about you, you have the power and the ability to change those lessons that you do not want part of your life any longer. Some of you may do that by going on YouTube, and others of you and watching inspirational videos are people that's doing something similar to you. Others of you may read Instagram's notes, messaging that is very powerful and very inspirational to you. Others of you may seek to go to counseling. Others of you may seek to go to a friend and chit chat with. Others of you may just sit back and just say, you know what? I need to take a deep breath. I need to slow my breathing down so that I can think clearly. And then there's others of you that may say, you know what? I need to just walk away from what I'm doing right now for a moment to get my mind back in sync. And then when my thoughts are back in sync and I'm feeling better about the situation, I'll come back to it and work on it. So those are really good points for all of us to know, because there's an old saying that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And I want to give you an example of what that looks like. For instance, I knew I had a friend that had a home. And so on the outside of the home, the landscape was not very becoming. The grass was yellow, weeds, a lot of, it wasn't beautiful at all. Flowers were dying. And then that person had moved out of that home. So the next person that purchased that home didn't see the landscape and how unpleasing it was to the eye. They didn't see that this could not be revitalized and brought back to life. What they saw was an opportunity to do something different. So what they did is they renewed the landscape by putting down shrubbery, by putting down flowers, by putting grass in, by watering and maintaining it all. And then I went to that same home and I looked outside. I'm like, wow, this is so beautiful. This is what was hiding under all of that yellow and brown and weeds and dead grass and dead flowers. Well, if I think about symbolism, I think about us as women. We as women, many of us will hide things, who we really are. But then it takes somebody like me to come along and say, hey, no, 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 that is not you. This is who you are. And this is how people view you. That is all sometimes we need in order for us to say, yep, they're right. And we change the way we look. We stop hiding and we take off those masks that we have held onto for so long. And so I say that to say, in conclusion, for those of you that are looking for an empowerment coach that will help you to be able to realize, how valuable you are, and to give you some tip points on what you can do to help pursue your dreams, I am the woman that you're looking for. So I would like for you to go to my link and sign up for a free 15-minute discovery call so we can chit-chat and talk about the concern that you may have, the dream you want to pursue, and the steps that you would like to take to do that. I want to thank you so much for being here. And don't forget to check out my podcast, WIIFM. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. And never forget, you are marvelous. See you later.